Let me quote a Islamic tradition that is the foundation for Hamas and the Palestinians. It says, "The day of resurrection will not come until the Muslims fight against the Jews and kill them, until there are only a few Jews left hiding behind a tree or a rock, and the tree or the rock will cry out and say, 'O faithful Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him.'" Muslims believe it is their divine call to eliminate the Jewish people.
What did Arafat, when he was in power, say secretly? We know what he said to the UN and to the world. What did he say behind the scenes secretly?
Sure. Well, at this time, there was a significant peace treaty going on between the Palestinians, headed up by Arafat, and Israel. And everyone was very excited. They thought this was a major breakthrough. Well, here was Arafat at a group speaking in Arabic. And he said to everyone, he said, "The treaty that I've just entered into with Israel is merely the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and in the same spirit have I entered into it. And it is through this treaty that we will continue our march to Jerusalem." In other words, I only entered into this so that we can gain power. Our goals have not changed. When the time is ripe, we will march militarily and take Jerusalem.
So explain to me how our government can orchestrate a peace agreement with the Palestinians in Israel if that is their goal.
Today, the empire in the earth that is reigning is the Islamic Empire. Saudi Arabia is the premier fountain. It is the location from which Islam was birthed into the world. And today, when you say what is the premier export of Saudi Arabia, people say oil. The fact is its primary export is Islam, its ideology. When you look at the donations that former President Carter received, it's in the tens of millions, and that's all we know.
Tens of millions?
Tens of millions of donations to him personally.
From Saudi Arabia.
To his
Is that why he comes out with books that are so anti-Semitic?
That are brazenly anti-Semitic, accusing Israel of being an apartheid nation, accusing them of essentially being the modern Nazis of the earth. It is
What about Bush?
George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., they have deep historical relationships with the Saudi princes, Ambassador Bandar, close personal friends. So you ask, why is it, a lot of Christians would say, why is it that President Bush, supposedly a born-again believer, would come out and say that Islam is a religion of peace and a great religion? We know that's not true. Yeah. Well, perhaps it has to do with the fact that he's received tens of millions of dollars from the Saudis.
Okay, but President Obama certainly hasn't.
Well, history shows that President Obama received substantial funds from the Saudis through an intermediary that actually financed his education at Harvard and Columbia University, and so he's just got in. Most of the presidents are receiving the funds after they get out. He already has received quite a substantial amount of money. We look at Clinton. Just before the election, they had to open up their donations. Over 30 million from Saudi and Gulf Arabs. That money has an effect. People don't give millions of dollars away for no reason.
Oh, okay. What about, you mentioned universities. Why are all of these great universities like Harvard and Georgetown and others putting up great buildings of Islamic study, bringing in top Muslims to speak on their campuses? Harvard, why would they do that?
$20 million.
20 million?
$20 million.
From who?
Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, one of the most wealthy men in the world, poured $20 million into Harvard, $20 million into Georgetown to essentially create Islamic propaganda study centers. When we look at the history of the Islamic Empire in the Middle East, began with the Umayyad and the Abbasid empires, which culminated with the Ottoman Empire. For over 500 years, Asia Minor, that's Turkey, ruled the Middle East. For over 500 years, the head of the Islamic Empire was Turkey. And it was from Turkey that the Caliph, again, think Pope, General, and President, all wrapped into one, ruled the entire Islamic world. 1924, that office was abolished. That was the beheading. That was the fatal head wound. Today, Turkey is re-emerging as a world power, but primarily as a regional power in the Middle East. You have the Arab bloc, that's Saudi, Egypt, and Jordan. And then across the Gulf, you have Iran. Those are the Shia. Now, most of the average Islamists on the street, they go, okay, given the choice between these, what they think are corrupt Western puppet regimes, or the bold but yet Shia, i.e. sort of heretical Muslims, they go, we're not really sure which side to go with. Now there's a third choice, and that's the Turks. They're bold, they're confrontational, they're strong. The heart of the Islamic world is turning to Turkey, and they're looking to Turkey as the natural leader of the three options. They're saying this is the best, this is the strong horse that we should start betting on. I saw maps of the Turkish-led Islamic Union all over the world. They were holding up these signs saying, the Turkish-led Islamic Union is the solution.
Are many Muslims coming to believe in Jesus now?
Absolutely, absolutely. The fact of the matter is that numerous trends are merging at one time. We have the information revolution. We have a revival throughout the Islamic world of Muslims who are encountering Yeshua, Jesus. He's appearing to them in dreams and visions.